TNTM The Show presents Comicast 254 with your host, Pablo Gunner, and I am here to talk nerdy to you about this week's comics, which is, damn it, I didn't do the research for this, so now I have to look it up. The comics for the 5th of October. So that's when all these comics came out. Those are the books that I'm going to be reviewing. And this week I am by myself. So, hopefully we can have fun together. You talk to me, tell me what's going on. I'll talk back to you. It'll be a good, grand old time. How does that sound? So, I am, like I said, going to be reviewing those comics. For the grade scale here at Talk Nerd to Me, we have Strong Buy, Weak Buy, Strong Skim, Skim, Weak Skim, and Pass is Pass. Then our best book of the week we call the Back and Bag of the Week, aka B-Bow. We put it in that nice back and bagging. And yeah, so just so you know, spoiler alert. There will be spoilers. I am reviewing these books. I try not to spoil too much. But when I go into the B-Bow as to why it's my B-Bow, that's probably when you're going to get the most spoilers. So, yeah. I believe that's it. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I usually do a little ringtone for when it is time for me to wrap it up. So I am going to do this one because it's very relative. Since the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers trailer just released, I'm going to do this one. So I already told you what it was. So I'm not going to give a free comic away for that one. But oh yeah, so also because I'm doing it by myself, the timer's only gonna be a minute unless I forget, which is very likely. But still, I'll try to keep it short. So I guess that's it. If you're all ready, I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. Starting with some number ones from Marvel, it's Jessica Jones -- 1. Writer is Brian Michael Bendis, artist Michael Gaydos, and color artist Matt Hollingsworth. Interesting, these guys it's the exact same crew that did Jessica Jones back in the day. And this one's very, I almost want to say that this is a number one that kind of feels more like a zero issue, where unfortunately it doesn't feel needed. The whole time Jessica Jones is doing something, and then there's just Jessica Drew shows up, which is funny because Jessica Drew kind of looks more like Jessica Jones in the show. And, but anyways, okay, so throughout the book, people keep on telling Jessica Jones, where's your daughter? Where's your daughter? Where's your daughter? Where's your kid? And then at the end, it's Luke Cage, and he goes and he says, where's my daughter? Where's our daughter? And it's just left on that cliffhanger. And they also bring up the idea that there's multiple people because they're combined. So, yeah. Hold on. My wife is calling. She got into a car accident. Hello? 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 Alright. Well, she didn't answer. But anyways, so that being said, the fact that it didn't feel like I really needed to read it and it was really confusing the whole time, it does feel like way too much like, in fact, a return to form if you've read the old one or if you've read my review of the original Jessica Jones. you know, I didn't really care for it that much. So this feels like return to form, and that's very unfortunate. I will give it another try. I'll give it the second issue a try in hopes that that's better and picks up. So, you know, I'm gonna give this one a I'm gonna give this one a skim. Skim it, see if you like it. If you like the art, you know, if you like the dialogue, go ahead and grab it. If not, then don't. For me, I just feel like I didn't really have to get this. That the next issue will probably have more. Anyways, here's a digital code. Tell me what you think if you get it. F for Familia, Z for Zarbon, M for Mike, L for Logan, 9, L for Logan, 2, I for Icarus, 6, 2, Z for Zarbon, Y for Yucca. On to the next book, another #1. This one is pretty hefty though. It's Champions #1, and it's $4.99. With Mark Waid as the writer, Humberto Ramos as penciler, and then Victor Olazaba as inker, and then Edgar Delgado as the colorist. So this one I find a little confusing that they're doing because Civil War's not over yet, and I thought this was a team that was going to be created because of Civil War. But it's come to notice that that a lot of these young heroes, they have left the Avengers teams because they don't like the infighting between them. So it makes it they end up making it make sense, and they show it in this where Miss Marvel straight up quits the Avengers. So and then she goes to meets up with Nova, and she meets up with Miles, and she's like, let's just do our own thing. And it's really great how they work it and they make it happen. It's really neat, and they even get Hulk in on it, and totally awesome Hulk, and then even Vivian, Viv, you know, Vision's daughter, and then I think they're gonna get more people. They stop this guy. And she makes this great speech at the end, and it's really cool, really great. I'm digging this, and I'm totally down for more, and I want to see who else joins the crew. Just based off the cover, I like it. I definitely want to see the next issue because the teaser is for Cyclops, but they're attacking him. Don't know if that's actually going to be the case because it's young Cyclops. But I'm interested to see if that goes down or not. Regardless, I'm really interested to see more young Cyclops, especially as part of this team. So I want to see more unification with the mutants being part of just not Avengers necessarily, because Avengers is so, but especially now this is a new name, Champions. It just seems like a great fit. Anyways, I give this one a strong buy. It looks amazing. It fits perfectly with all these characters, and like I said, I'm down for more. So obviously strong buy. And you know, I'm going to give a contender. I'm going to save this digital code for a Talking Nerdy vlogcast. Alright, moving right into another #1. But this one's kind of different because it's The Death of X. So it's kind of like an event book. I guess it is an event book. Writers are Jeff Lemire and Charles Soule. Artist Aaron Cooter. Colorist Maury Hollowell. And this one is another one. It's $4.99. So it is hefty, thicker book. And I was honestly like really, the art really threw me off because I'm not used to seeing Aaron Cooter as a Marvel artist, and so it was really odd. Considering the darkness of this book, I felt the coloring as well as just the art style was too soft and too warm, and so I feel like a darker artist would be better for this, maybe like a Lionel Yu. But you know what? I gotta say though, after a while, I warmed up to it. It seemed like it, as the story got darker, the colors got darker, the visuals even seemed darker in tone as well. So it started bright, but it got darker as it went on. So by the end, I was pretty convinced. Now, one thing though I will have to say that I'm irritated about though is this seems like a story that should have been told a long time ago, because this is like a flashback story. to when older Cyclops was still alive, and he found out about the Terrigen Mist and how it's making people sick and how it's even killing mutants. And so now it's going to be this. It seems like it's a sort of mutants versus, or X-Men versus Inhumans type of event, which I feel like most of us presumed, or assumed. So I don't know. Like I said, the art still kind of irks me. Sometimes it is too bright and, like I said, too warm. So I can't give it a strong buy, but it's still pretty solid and really interesting. And like I said, it does bug me this is a story that I feel should have been told a long time ago. But we'll see where it goes. So I'm gonna give it a buy right now. And here's the digital code. Tell me what you think of it. What your grade would be. F for Funk, C for Camera, M for Monk, 2, U for Ultron, 6, P for Pietro, E for Egon, U for Ultron, 8, Y for Yank, and A for Alpha. Alright, now we're going to get into some Civil War tie-ins, starting with Invincible Iron Man number 14. And it is, like I said, Civil War 2 tie-in. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, artist Mike Deodato, Frank Martin as color artist. And, oh man, there's this amazing spread that is like, it's news flashes coming in about Civil War, and then it's also Iron Man, and he's sitting there and he's contemplating all these things that are going on. There's Mary Jane, so if you like you some Mary Jane, you got it. Not a lot of it, but it's in here. And then Tony takes off because he's like, I'm feeling the urge of having a drink, so I'm going to go to a meeting. He goes to a meeting, and it turns out, which I didn't know this, but Captain Marvel, she is there too for a meeting. I didn't know that she was an alcoholic. And it's crazy because he leaves once he recognizes her, and then she recognizes him, so she leaves. And she's like, they have this talk, and it's really awkward talk because it's like they're in the middle of this war, and then they end up having this talk. She ends up leaving, he ends up going back in, and he talks a little, and then it goes into, it has a tie-in into International Iron Man because it has his mom show up. But I don't know. Because then there's a teaser. I don't want to spoil it, but something bad has happened to somebody. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy and intense. This is really awesome. This is really good. Solid tie-in. It's a little weird that Tony and Captain Marvel have this talk in the middle of this war. And it's like, but they're emotionally distraught. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid because I'm feeling like when are we gonna get to the actual fighting? Because I think we've seen like one fight, and then it stopped. And I get that they're probably trying to do something different from the original Civil War, but I think that's kind of the whole point, though, is to kind of mirror it. Make it similar enough, but different, kind of what The Force Awakens did. Similar enough, but not too much, But anyways, nonetheless, strong buy. I'll give it a contender as well. It looks amazing. Mike Deodato is one of the greatest artists ever. It's super impressive, but he is. So, yeah. Like I said, save this one for digital. For Comicast. Vlogcast. Moving right along to Spider-Man 29, number 16. It's Civil War 2 tie-in. Peter David as the writer, Will Sliney as the artist, Rachel Rosenberg as the color artist. And it's crazy because they start with, all the heroes have been captured and they're arrested and stuff. And it turns out that's just a teaser. It was really great. And then it plays out and you see what's going on, and they're like, okay, they're holding this lady captured. They need to make a rescue, but they need to come up with a plan. And it's not like a too crazy plan, but it's a plan that works out enough, and it's really interesting and funny because it also turns into this thing where they're like, oh, I don't know if you could be a scroll. And I thought it was a joke, and then it turns out that there actually is somebody that is a scroll, and one of those people doesn't even know that they're a scroll, or that they were, and it's crazy, it's awesome, it's fantastic, it's such a great conclusion, but it's one of those. This book is just so great at conclusions that just lead to more. Like there's more questions to be answered. There's more to get to. And it doesn't feel like a detraction when they do this stuff. Like, this felt like a really great, I want to say tie-in, but it just felt like a great story arc that happened to be a tie-in. Continues to look great, really interesting. Like I said, it's hit so many great notes, but at the same time, I can't wait to get back to the previous stuff, and get that hashed out. So yeah, another strong buy, another contender, and here's a digital code if you want to check it out and tell me what you think of it. C for Chavez, Z for Zarkon, 5, Q for Quill, V for Vegeta, 6, J for Jones, N for Nova, D for Donatello, B for Bravo, V for Vegeta. And that's it for the Civil War II stuff, but still one more Marvel book. It's Spidey number 11. And it's the same creative team. Robbie Thompson as a writer, Nathan Stockman as the artist, and then I believe Jim Campbell as the colorist. And this one, it's something that this book has been leading up to, and it's funny how it's something that's, it's Flash, Gwen, and Peter. They're all taking a math test, and if Flash passes, he won't get bullied anymore and stuff. It's like one of those things you're like, I hope he passes, but I hate that guy. And I just love the way it turns out. There's Galactus, and he wants to get involved with the fight with Galactus, but Scorpion shows up and attacks him. But Scorpion is talking like a crazy person. He's like, oh, the voice is in my head. And you're like, he's just a crazy person, whatever. But there is something to it. And then, he tries to get back to the Galactus fight, and it's already over and handled. And they're like, oh, well, you can handle the cleanup. And then he gets back to what was going on with, they have the conclusion to the test. The test results come out, and I was so satisfied with this ending. And I will probably get to that later, because this is a strong buy and a contender. And this is a great book, so I'm going to save the digital code for Vlogcast. Alrighty, and now on to, I think it's the only indie book that I have for this week, unfortunately. It's IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universe number 2, $4.99. And, of course, it's two different stories. First story is written by Paul Allure. Artist is Damian Cusiero. Colorist Rhonda Pattison. And then for the second story, it's Kevin Eastman, Bobby Curnow, Tom Waltz, with script by Tom Waltz. And then layouts is Kevin Eastman. And then artist is Bill Sienkiewicz, with colorist is Tommy Varga. And it took me all but one page to get back into the story and go wait, what was going on? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's what was going on. There's this task force that's here to take out the mutants, to take out the turtles. And Raph ends up taking on this patrol, essentially tactical SWAT guys, but they're even more legit. And it's crazy because They end up beating him up, but he's giving it to. It's really crazy and intense. There's this scorpion woman though, and that's pretty crazy. And Mikey, I just love seeing the team back together. Baxter Stockman has this crazy suit. Um, and yeah, it's left on this cliffhanger where Raph is pushed to his limits. Then you have Leo for the second story, Inside Out, Part 2, and he's getting attacked, and he's having, like, I think he got poisoned or something, because he's having all these crazy visions, but then that Falcon mutant ends up attacking him, and he fights him, and that's really awesome and hardcore. So both are really strong for different reasons. But I just feel like what they should do is I just feel like they should keep these separate. Uh, that's how I feel. Um, Maybe when I see the end game, I might understand why they're doing it this way. But right now, and even before, I just feel like it would have been better off as, separate stories. Like, just focus on the first story first, and then on the second one. But at the same time, like, I don't know, because they're so different, they might be a really good mix. So I could be wrong. Like I said, don't know the end game. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give it a strong buying contender, anyways. You know me. You know my bias towards TMNT. So that's where I stand on that. So yeah. All right, well, that's it for that, folks. It's time for a commercial break for the audio part. And here's a word from one of our sponsors, which is Age of Comics. Make sure you check them out. They're located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, off of Osuna and San Mateo. Great comic book shop, hardcore comic book shop. These guys know their stuff. They press comics, they clean comics, they'll get them graded for you. If you're hardcore about comics, that's the place to go. They have tons of Funko Pops, they have tons of figurines, so make sure that you go and you check them out and mention us. Alright, so back to comics, and we're going to move into DC Comics. Starting with Cyborg number 2, it's $2.99. Writer is John Semper Jr., penciler Paul Pelletier, then inkers is Tony Cordos and Tom Palmer, with Guy Major and Hi-Fi as colorists. And so, if you listen to the last one or you've read the last issue, you know that Cyborg got attacked by this monster machine called Kilgore. You find out some of his origins in this, which is he's actually an alien from, I think, is it another universe or just another planet? But anyways, and, of course, it's crazy because it keeps on putting Cyborg in these situations that he's trying to see if Cyborg still has his humanity intact, which is really interesting, which, of course, Cyborg, my homeboy, he comes through. And there's this guy, so they do it with that lady, and then they also do it with his dad. And it's cool because I love how he actually works with the Star Labs team to help him defeat this person, because his powers have to do with electricity. So if he doesn't have a connection to electricity, then my boy has an edge. And it gets really intense. It gets really scary there for a moment. And it is a great cliffhanger. Really blew my mind. Didn't see that coming, and I'm interested to see what comes next. And man, this is a good book. I like it. I've always liked Cyborg, and this is great. It's a different way. It's very wordy, but it makes sense because it's, if you've seen like computers, it's a lot of information, and then that's what it is. It's just constant information put out. So it works really well with it. So I got to give it a strong buy and contender because it looks amazing, and I'm totally digging it. All right, on to Batman number 8. It's Night of the Monster Men number part 4. Why did I say number part 4? Anyways, stories Tom King and Steve Orlando. Script Steve Orlando. Art Riley Rasmo. Then colors Ivan Plasencia. Gotta love this art. Gotta love this art. Gotta love the rain elements. This creature looks hideous and terrifying. I love the way Batman looks. I honestly, I just love the way that everything looks. Everybody, every character, every single thing in this just looks so amazing, and it's just nonstop action, and it's crazy. And this time, Duke defies orders and gets involved, and I love it. And he looks cool. I look his yellow suit, and oh, there's this part where Clayface and Batman team up, and it's cool, man. It is so neat. And but there's a not Pacific, reason that Duke shows up, and but there's this other creature, and it's crazy. So they have to deal with these freaked out Monster Men versions of Gotham Girl and Nightwing, and it gets pretty crazy. So one of them is dealt with, but it's left at a cliffhanger. So yeah, it's a strong buy. It's a contender. I love this art, man. That's what's really doing it for me. And I'm not even like a hardcore art dude, you know. So yeah, rolling right into Nightwing number 6. It's Night of the Monster Men Part 5. And of course, you have to go into the Nightwing part. Like, it's Batwoman and she's trying to take Nightwing. She's trying to get Nightwing. And the thing is, the serum that they used to change Gotham Girl, it's messed up. So they have to find another way to do it. And but now they have this other situation arise. And it's just crazy because there's just monsters on top of monsters popping up. But this is cool because it does start to focus on Dick and how he figures out him, as well as the rest of the crew, they figure out the master plan of Strange. And it's crazy because there's this giant monster that combines all these dead monsters. They combine into one giant monster. And Batman decides to go toe-to-toe with Doctor Strange. Is that even right? But anyways, but it looks like they're gonna combine. They're gonna do like a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers type thing where they're gonna form into like Zord. I think that's what I'm thinking, and they're gonna face off against this giant monster that's also combined. So I am totally jacked off for the next issue. Steve Orlando and Tim Seeley was the story. Steve Orlando was the script. Roj Antonio was the artist. Chris Sotomayor was colorist. It's at the end of the book, people. I can't help it. Another great issue, another strong buy, another contender. I'm so jacked off for the next issue. It's so great. All right, moving into the next book. It's Aquaman Hombre de Agua, number 8. And so this one, now Mira has to go through this thing. It's Dan Abnett is the writer, Scott Eaton is the penciler, Wayne Fauch is the inker, and then Gabe El Taib is the colorist. So yeah, Mira has to do this thing so that they can get married, where she has to learn all this Atlantean, history and all this stuff. And they're kind of like nuns, but actually not nuns. Well, it's kind of like nuns. Like, imagine like nuns combined with the Dothraki wives that are left over. Like, that's what this order is, and it's like if you're the new Dothraki wife, sort of, and they're teaching all of this stuff. Really interesting, good stuff. But then there's this crazy seaweed, mud creature that's attacking, and it's cool how people have so much faith in Aquaman. They're like, oh, it's fine. The fleet doesn't have to get involved. Aquaman, the king, is handling it. But then he's getting his hits. He's getting taking some licks. This monster is beating his guts. He's just pounding him, and it's crazy because there's somebody else involved, and it turns out it's that secret organization. I don't know if they're quite secret anymore. Really interesting, really cool, really good stuff. I'm really interested to see where this goes, and it's phenomenal right now. It looks great. It's so good right now. I'm glad I kind of skipped a couple issues and then have gotten back into it because it just feels right now. So another strong buying contender. What can I say? I love me some Aquaman. All right, now moving into Green Arrow, number 8, the Ocho, and so yeah, it's it's Green Arrow and he's back on the island. Benjamin Percy is on story. Otto Schmidt is art, color, and cover. Um, and that's it. That's it, pretty much. The art looks amazing. It's so great. But Green Arrow's back on the island. He thinks he's seeing things because um, Black Canary shows up. And it's funny because they're like lovey-dovey. And I just felt like, oh, this relationship is so fake. Just because like how cheesy and lovey-dovey they were. And then Green Arrow says something that is meant to be a nice thing, but it actually ends up hurting Canary's feelings, and then they get into like a little tiff. And I'm like, now that's a real relationship. Good. And then you say something stupid as a guy, because that's what we do, and then she gets mad, even though you meant it as a good thing. Then it goes into some other stuff that's going on this island, and Diggle is shipwrecked there too. Um, I'm just interested to see more. I love this art. Most of all, though, I love Black Canary, and I still feel that this book should be called Black Canary and Green Arrow. Why is it not? I feel like you would bring more people to it if it was called Black Canary or Black Canary and Green Arrow. Black Canaro. Green Canaro. Anyways, it's phenomenal. I'm digging it. I like it. I didn't like the last couple issues, but I mean, actually, I didn't like the previous issue, but this one I dig. I'm gonna get the next one. So yeah, it's great. So another strong buying contender. It looks amazing. On to Green Lanterns number 8, and it is Sam Humphries as a writer, Ed Benes as the artist, Blonde as colors. And it's Halloween, and the Green Lanterns are taking out, his nephew, Simon Baz's nephew, out. I think his name's Fareed. Out, and it's funny because he's dressed as Flash, and he makes fun of the Flash costume, and then Jessica's like, "Come on, we all know that Flash costume's cooler than your goofy costume." And I love how everyone continues to bust Simon Baz's chops about having a gun, and he's like, "Well, sometimes the Green Lantern ring goes out, so it's good to have a backup." Good point. But all the while, they're also looking for this exiled guardian who made the Phantom Ring, and there's these devastators, these hideous creatures, and they're looking for him too. They also show Jessica making another construct that is beautiful and amazing and just awesome, and I love it. She has so much untapped potential. It's so great, and when she does tap into it, it's just superb. And it's really awesome. I'm really interested to see where it goes, and I totally dig it. Man, it's another strong buying contender. I know I sound like a broken record because I say that all these books are strong buys and contenders, but honestly, like if they weren't all strong buys and contenders, I would probably drop them. So that's why. Like, I only want the best of the best of the books. So yeah. On to the last book of the week. It's Superman number 8, and yeah, it's cool because Superman takes his son, Superboy, Jonathan White, I think, and they're at his own Fortress of Solitude, and they're working on a science project, and he gets teleported to another time and place, possibly, that's like this Jurassic island or something. It's really crazy. And I just love how he's teaching his son stuff. They're working together as a team. They're doing stuff together. And all the while, it looks amazing. It's so interesting. You're getting a little history lesson. All these monsters are going on. It's same team, Peter J. Tomasi, Patrick Gleason story, Doug Mankey pencils, Jamie Mendoza or Jaime Mendoza as inks, and then Will Quintana as colorist. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's just a great book. It's superb. Really interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. And it's just, I love it. It's almost like a team book at this point, or a team up, or like Batman and Robin, but Superman and Superboy. It could be called that. Strong by another contender. You know what that means? Time for the back and bag, the best book of the week for me to announce. So I am going to have to go with Nightwing #6 as my runner-up. I love the art. I love the Dick stuff. I love what it's leading up to. I love everything about it. It's so great. It's so superb. But I'm going to have to go with, you ought to know, Spidey as my back and bag of the week. And I just love Spidey. And what I love the most, though, is the Peter Parker stuff. That's what I love the most, is the Peter Parker stuff. Especially at the end, because, Gwen is like, let's go to the school dance together. And I can't wait for that issue. And that just made me so happy. I love and I miss that just the core, the old school. And this is, that's what this does for me. So, that's it. So thank you for watching, and tell me what your back and bag of the week was. If you got any of the digital comics, tell me what you think of those books. Your grade or my grade, our grade, whatever. Also, I want to go into some stuff, which is Namor the Submariner, or Namor the Namor podcast. It's Namor Submariner at the Namor podcast. Asked a few weeks ago, but I keep on forgetting, which is a question for me, and I'll ask again when JD is on the show, but I'm going to answer it, which is, what 3 comics would you recommend to pick up each month right now? So if I only had to pick up 3, I would say they are Miss Marvel, Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, and then TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If I could only had 3 to choose, that's what they would be right now. So, like I said, we'll see what JD has to say when he's on the podcast. Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I intend on getting the Talking to Your Vlogcast out, which will be Ratchet and Clank. Try to do more because I'm still behind on getting comics out. I'll try to do that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on the Facebook, and as well join the community group so you can be more interactive with us, since the posts are very limited on the page, because Facebook sucks on that part. That's why the groups exist. But anyways, yeah, so that's it, and keep your eyes hungry for comics.